Now, the pre-poll, early voting starts on Tuesday of next week, so you're going to see a lot more television advertising, brace yourself, not just from the major parties either. A lot of the third-party advertising will start to kick in here as well, and this could be really important in pushing particular messages. The Master Builders Association are actually launching 2 advertisements on 2 different issues that they're interested in. One is actually what this whole double dissolution election is all about. The Australian Building and Construction Commission, the Master Builders, support the government in trying to bring it back.
What I think people need to realise, the CFMEU has had this artificial control over the industry, and they are happy to coerce, abuse their rights to make sure you do what they say. There is absolutely no industry I know of that this would be tolerated. They will threaten your clients. They abuse their rights for their own agenda. You know, it is bullying.
Housing is now even less affordable in Australia. So let's be serious about the real cause. And it's not negative gearing. The real problem? There are not enough new houses to meet demand. This drives up prices. The next government must do more to meet demand for new homes by increasing land releases and cutting red and green tape. Australia needs to stimulate the supply of housing to bring down prices. So let's keep negative gearing. Authorised by Willem Harnish for Master Builders Australia, Canberra.
Willem Harnish from the Master Builders joins me now. We've just given you a bit of free advertising there. But look, we to be honest, we do show some of those from both sides on the program that are interesting. How big is your spend here? How much are you prepared? How deep is your pocket when it comes to these ads?
Look, our commitment is deep. That's the important aspect of this. Our campaign during this election is to really highlight the importance of the building construction in the economy. It is the 3rd largest. It employs the 3rd most of people, of 1 million plus, and it trains the most apprentices. And that's the important message that we want to tell the politicians and the future government after the 2nd of July election.
It's a pretty scary ad, though, when you've got the dark faces there and the spooky music and the stop the bullying. You know, is that really the norm on a building site?
Absolutely, David. What that video is portraying is unfortunately what happens every day. It's the bullying, it's the intimidation, it is really the sorts of behaviour that have been identified.
And the Fair Work Building Ombudsman can't deal with that at the moment?
Well, quite clearly it cannot. When you listen to the evidence at the Hayden Royal Commission, just finished early this year, and when you read the report, and when you read the report from the Victorian Police, and when you look at the court fines, the federal court fines, where the CFMEU has been fined more than $10 million, and when you read every day in the newspapers, these sorts of offences continue to happen day after day, the evidence is clearly there. And there is a need for the return of the ABCC.
Now, your other ad is the one against Labor's negative gearing changes, so, you know, you're nailing your colours to the mast in many ways here, aren't you, on a couple of issues?
No, we're not. What we're doing, our call for the ABCC has been known for 15 years, since 2000, David. In terms of negative gearing, our position on negative gearing has been known for the similar amount of time. We've put our position on housing affordability and negative gearing to various parliamentary inquiries on housing affordability, Senate inquiries as well. So the campaign that we're running is not...
clear you don't want Labor elected here on both.
No, not at all. What we want, even if Labor is elected, we want the ABCC to return and we want negative gearing to remain as it is, because negative gearing, for instance, is not the cause of housing affordability. It is not the cause of fixing our, or won't be the fix for fixing our budget deficit. It's not the cause of keeping first home buyers out of the market.
You don't think it's had any impact on house prices, investors in the market, because of negative gearing and capital gains tax?
Look, at every top of the cycle, yes, house prices are under pressure, right? And it's not necessarily investors. You know, I read the newspapers, as you do, David, at the last weekend, where, you know, home buyers themselves, not investors, are chasing too few properties and bidding up prices. So the point we're saying
I'm just asking whether investors using negative gearing and capital gains tax rules are having an impact on house prices.
Not much at all. Look, the point is, I think negative gearing, there's been a false debate about it. It's been the bogeyman for all sorts of problems, which is not the case.
So taking, all right, so when Prime Minister, for example, argues that if you change negative gearing rules, you would take a third of buyers out of the market.
Yes.
That is an impact, isn't it? A third
It is
of
indeed.
buyers is an impact on the house.
Very much so. And if you look at the most definitive report on our tax review, which is the Henry tax
It
review.
doesn't have an impact.
Well, it's, you know, can I just quote you here from the Ken Henry report? They're saying that negative gearing or any changes to negative should not proceed unless other reforms are put in place. Here it is in the Ken Henry report, you know, on page 418 of volume 2. He made it quite clear there are more fundamental problems in terms of housing affordability and in terms of affordable
And that
housing.
may well be so, but just in and of itself, I just want to get this clear. Does the negative gearing rules push up house prices?
Not at all.
So if you got rid of them, there would be no impact on house prices.
Well, there would be impact. It says here it'd have a negative impact on the market.
So the
It says-
existing rules don't push up house prices, but if you got rid of them, it would have an impact on house prices.
Well, that's what it's, you know, certainly what.
Is that logical?
Well, it follows in part, and I mean,
How does it
what Ken Henry says, it'll create volatility in the market. It will create
I just wonder what
uncertainty.
you think. Do you think negative gearing rules push up house prices or not?
Not necessarily. I mean, the issue is house prices always increase in most cases at the top of the housing market.
Right, so
they
if
are
you-
simply the problem
Well, I
of
do.
insufficient supply.
But if you got rid of the negative gearing rules, there would be an impact.
Well, there will be. And I think that when the negative gearing was removed back in the 80s, it had a major impact on unsettling the residential market, one of the major assets. It caused the government to reintroduce it. The fear is that if you remove negative gearing now without doing other reforms, we're going to have the same unsettling impact on the housing market, which will be devastating on one of the major assets in our society, which is housing. So we're just saying, don't tinker with negative gearing, because negative gearing is not the problem to housing affordability. It's not the problem for first home buyers having access, and it won't fix the budget deficit.
Willem Hamish, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for joining
Thank you,
us
David.
this afternoon. We will take a quick break. After that, Peter Credlin and Christina Keneally join us.